Good morning, students. Welcome to EdukaShow. So my name is Ike, Teacher Ike, and today we're going to be learning about geography, and we're going to be doing our class number two, and we're going to be working with geography class. Yes. So here it is. We're going to start, and the last topic that we were working on, and I want to ask you guys, how did you feel with your homework? How was it? Remember, guys, that you had to locate the cities. Here are the answers for you. So you got Alice Springs. So that would be 22 degrees to the south and 133 degrees to the east. Located right there. Alice Springs is right there at the center of Australia. And of course Sydney, and you got 34 degrees to the south and 150 degrees to the east. And you got Darwin, which is 14 degrees to the south and 131 degrees to the east. The final question of that activity was, which city is closest to 20 degrees south latitude? And of course that was Lagrange. Alright, so congratulations if you were able to do it perfectly, and hopefully you guys sent me your activities to my email, and that email is going to be posted in the comments below so that you can send me your classworks. I'm going to be opening very soon a Google Classroom so that you guys can also send me your activities through that source. Very good. So what we're going to be working on today, we're going to be working on the geographic sources. So information from geography or to a geographer can come from many different sources, and that is, the first one would be the GIS. And what is GIS? Well, it's very simple. Geographic Information Systems. So Geographic Information Systems, it's a system that collects information from a variety of sources and compiles it by computer into useful forms. So you got satellites, for example, you got computers, you got everything that it's animated, for example. And all of that information gets compiled or gets gathered or joined, and what it does, gets the information, and then it makes geographer, of course us, we are geographers right now, it makes it really easy to get all that information, to work with that information, to get all the information there and to portray it or to show it in different ways, which is a great form or a great source to be able to, see it differently. Also, another way that geographers get their information by doing some field work. And I think this is very simple for you guys. Going out and gathering information, for example, taking rock samples and performing interviews, taking photos, for example, etc. You can get a lot of information by going out there and maybe doing some interviews, getting some samples, like when the astronauts of NASA went to the moon, they brought back some rocks so that the scientists here on Earth would be able to study them and to see what was going on in the moon. What kind of rock is that? What kind of materials are there? What kind of elements or things is it composed from? Getting interviews from people, like if you go out somewhere and start talking to somebody, for example, some people that live somewhere far away from your place, for example, would be a great way to learning about how things are there. What about the weather? How do you feel the earthquake? And then comparing those answers by doing different kind of interviews, which is a great way also. Taking photos, which is another excellent way of gathering information, because with the pictures you can actually get to know more about some stuff, and you can study slowly those pictures, just like the NASA and just like the scientists are doing right now in Mars. They are taking great pictures with the rover in Mars, and they're doing incredible stuff. They send those pictures back to Earth, and therefore they get a lot of information from that, and that's incredible. And finally, of course, satellite images, which is also part of the geographic information systems. So images taken from space, they have a variety of different uses. For example, for weather, for cartography, and of course for defense of the countries. We're talking about the military. Here we have the next slide, photographs, images of geographic features, could be monuments. We could be talking about architecture and cultural characteristics from around the world. In the case of the maps and globes, well, maps and globes are visual representations of the Earth's surface, right? It's just another way of showing the way the Earth is, but we're going to be working on this. Maps and globes is another way to work with that, but in a smaller size. It's just a representation. In the case of the database, of course, database collects and stores statistical information on population, precipitation, etc. How many people live somewhere, every kind of information that you can gather up from different places on the Earth. You can just place it into a database, and then you're going to be able to obtain that information really simple and really easy. In the case of the primary source, it's of course a first-hand or eyewitness account of an event. For example, there was an earthquake in Mexico City, perhaps, and you can ask a person who actually lived through that earthquake to get the first-hand information about what happened over there. Secondary source, it's a second-hand account of an event. For example, somebody who did not live directly the earthquake, but have heard something, or maybe somebody that actually read something about it, and then we're just getting the information. Or for example, reading on the web, for example, or reading in a newspaper online. It could be another way of getting a secondary source for some event or something that happened. Okay, very good. If you guys have any questions, remember to just write them down in the comments over here below this video, and I'm going to be answering every single one of your questions. We're going to move on now to the next topic of today. And as you can see, we've got orientation. Take a look at this image for a moment. And we got a couple of elements over there. The first and most, or I would say the biggest element that we are showing there in that image, it's of course the compass rose. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys have already seen this in different places around, places that you've visited, even in your house perhaps. So a compass rose, it's like a star. It's like a drawing of a star, right? And you got in red color and huge letter, it's an N. You got a S to the opposite side, it's the south, of course, the S. You got the west to the left, and you got the, that's in Spanish actually, but that would be the east. So you got north, and then if we go to the left, we're going to find that it says NW, which stands for northwest. Then you got the west, you got the southwest, you got south, and then southeast to the right, and you got an O, that would be oeste in Spanish, but actually in English is the west. So that would be changed, the east, and that would be changed for an E. And finally, you got the northeast. So the question is, which way is up? Or which way is north? What is the difference? Well, maps will usually give you a way to determine orientation. So this may be a single direction arrow or a compass rose. You could have only one arrow, and that's going to be telling you with a compass where you're headed. A compass rose tells you two things: cardinal directions and intermediate directions. So if you look at that image again, you would just know by logic that the big letters are, of course, the cardinal directions, and the small letters, we're talking about intermediate directions. Take a look at that image again. Try to memorize those letters and what they stand for. All right. Now, in the case of the maps, this is very important to understand. We got the map scale. Teacher, what is the map scale? Well, don't worry. So, listen to this. To calculate distance, measure the distance on the map and then place it on the scale to measure the true difference. And we're going to be looking first of all at that map of Western Europe. As you can see, that map does not have a legend. In this case, this map only has a compass rose with the cardinal directions. And if you look below, you can see a couple of lines over there, and they say miles and they say kilometers, right? So you're looking at a black and white line, or striped line. It says 0 miles all the way up to 500 miles. And below you got a difference, which is 0 kilometers all the way up to 800 kilometers. If we look at that map again, but now to the center of it, we're gonna find that you got London, you've got Paris, you've got to the east Berlin, you got to the southeast, you got Rome, and you've got to the west Madrid, Spain. And we see some striped lines over there in that map. So this is super simple, and this very quick exercise is gonna ask you to tell me exactly what is the difference, for example, or what is the distance, not the difference, but the distance between Berlin and Rome in miles. How would you do that? Look at the map. I'm gonna give you guys a couple of seconds to see if you can do it. You can actually use a ruler, and I'm gonna be giving you guys this material so that you can have that and you can do your own measurements so that you can know exactly what are those distances in this particular map. So the clock is ticking. 5 more seconds for this activity. Berlin and Rome. What is the distance in miles? Okay. Very good. We're gonna stop right there now. Who can tell me what is the difference between London and Paris? Distance. I'm sorry, I'm saying difference, but we're talking about distance. I want you guys to tell me what's the distance between London and Paris in miles. I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds. Okay, very good. You got that one? Excellent. If you know the answer, write it down in the comments. And finally, I would like to hear out or read somebody who can tell me the distance between Madrid and Rome. But I want you guys to tell me this distance instead of miles in kilometers. 15 seconds for that. Distance between Madrid and Rome in kilometers. How would you do that? Five seconds. If you know the answer, write it down in the comments. Alright, time's up. Now, if we look at the image of the map scale, we're gonna look at the top right of our slide, you're gonna find that you got 1 mile over there, the first measurement, and then almost by half, you got 1 kilometer right there, right? So what happens if we change that for 20 miles? See where 30 kilometers is located? And then you've got 200 miles, and then below you've got 300 kilometers. See how that distance changed? Compare the 1 mile against 1 kilometer all the way down to the one that has 200 miles and 300 kilometers. They do change a little bit because 1 mile it's not the same as 1 kilometer. 1 mile is around 1.6 kilometers. Therefore, you've got those differences. Very important. Be careful to make sure that you have the correct unit. Many maps have both miles and kilometers. If you guys have any questions, just write them down in the chat and I'm going to be answering all of them as soon as possible. All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on now to our next scale. And now one of the most important things about the map scales is, of course, comparing maps of different scale. Different maps need to show different levels of detail. Because, sometimes some things are going to be larger, some maps are going to be showing a larger space, and sometimes some maps are going to be showing smaller areas or spaces. So this is what it says right here. Sometimes you need to show a lot of detail for a small area, and sometimes you need to show a little detail for a larger area. And in the picture over there, you got map A and you've got map B. So a small scale map, just like map A shown to the left of our image, it shows a large area with small details. It is good for relative locations, and we're going to be looking at that map right now. As you can see, that map has a title or a name. It's called Map A, right? And it also has a legend to the bottom left, and it's got the compass rose. See the north and south, the east and the west. And it also has this scale, 0 all the way up to 200 miles, and also 0 all the way up to 200 kilometers. And you can also see in that map the latitude and longitude lines. You've got the names of the countries, got the names of the oceans, you got some capital cities, and you got other cities in the legend. And you've also got over there, for example, the political divisions, right? Or political boundaries. That is the lines or imaginary lines that separate one country with another, right? Okay, so look at that for one moment. Try to see all the details. See how it says that Persian Gulf, Kuwait City, Al Jaraa, Iran, you got Baghdad over there, you got Syria, Damascus, Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, Medina, right? Medina, very interesting. And now we're going to be looking at our map B. Look at that map. And we're going to read the definition of this map. It says a large scale map shows a small area with large details. It is good for detailed looks at small areas. So if we look at that map, we're going to find also that we got a legend, we got a scale, the compass rose, title for the map, and it is showing a, let's say, like a zoom of Kuwait. And over there you're looking at Kuwait. You got Al Jaraa, Kuwait City, Al Wafra, Qasr, and Abdali, right? Those are the names of those cities, and you can see which one is the capital. Kuwait City would be the capital in that case. And this country is located by the Persian Gulf. Super important place of the planet for trade. The Persian Gulf is super important. If you guys have any questions about comparing maps of different scale, you can just set it down at the comments, and I'm going to be answering you guys. Now we're going to step up to the maps, and the first map we're going to be looking at, we're going to be comparing different types of maps. There are many different types of maps to show different types of information. If we would try to put everything in one single map, every single characteristic or every single feature, it would be almost black because of all the lines and all the details we would have to put there. So what we do, we have different types of maps. In the first case, as you're looking at this image right there, we got the physical maps. Physical maps, they show physical features using shading, relief, or different colors. In the first map to the left, we're going to be looking at some different colors over there. We got some green, we've got some yellow, and we've also got some blue. What do you think that is? Yeah, you guessed it right. The green color stands for a not so high land. It's kind of like very low. If we look at yellow, we're looking at some mountains, right? This areas in Europe, because this is a map of Europe, you're going to be looking at those mountains right there. And in the case of the blue, you're looking at the depth of the ocean, how profound or how deep that is. And this is a physical map because, just like the name says, it's showing us some physical features. We're going to be looking now at the map from the middle, and we've got a map of Africa right there. And see what are the physical differences? Actually, this map has another feature, and you're looking at the boundaries. It's also a political map, which we're going to be looking at later on in the next slide. You got the characteristics of the land. You've got the vegetation of the land. Look at how some places of Africa are actually green and some places are actually very dry, and they are represented by this kind of like soil color, right? Look at that map for a moment. It's got scale. Compared to the first map, it doesn't have scale, it doesn't have legend, it doesn't have a name. The second map, the map in the middle, the map from Africa, it has legend. It's got scale. It's got the political boundaries, and it also has the physical features of Africa, right? And finally, we're going to be looking at a map of North America. And right there, you're looking at the physical features of North America. And that one is actually showing us a little bit about the rivers, or about the rivers that are in the whole of North America. You're looking at some mountains, of course, the Rocky Mountains, that in the United States and Canada they are called the Rocky Mountains. And here in Mexico, they are called the Sierra Madre Occidental, which is a group of very large mountains that do define the land in that particular place. And that was created by lots of years of evolution of the tectonic plates. I would like to change the group of mountains for the word stream. A stream of mountains that run all the way up from Mexico all the way up to Canada. If you guys have any questions about physical maps, remember to set them down in the questions. And we've got, and this is going to be the next map that we're going to be looking at, and these are political maps. Just like I said before, political maps show political features such as national boundaries and borders. The maps may be black and white, or they may use color to show different countries. This map may also change over time as political borders change. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maps over there. The black and white map is showing the political features, for example, the national boundaries of Europe. Same thing happens with our map to the right. Now, look at this. This is going to be really interesting, and we're going to be looking and we're going to be studying how Europe was before WW2, which stands for World War II. I know that everybody knows about this, of course. But look at the map. Look at that map. And now let's just compare it to the next map to the right. And the title of that map says Europe after World War II, the Cold War. And if we compare those two maps, we're gonna get to see a lot of differences in there. There was a lot of changes in World War II. The political boundaries, a lot of political boundaries changed. So this is also what the wars may cause. Europe after the breakup of the Soviet Union also changed. Look how it changed. Political maps also have a little bit of history in them. And this is what political maps show. Every time you see a map with the boundaries of the countries, of course, remember these boundaries are imaginary sometimes. But this is the way that you're going to be understanding that we're talking about a political map. Next up, we got population maps, and we got population distribution, and we got population density. Population distribution shows how the population of areas is spread out. In the first map to the top of our slide, look at that. Look at that. This map, tell me in the comments what kind of projection this is. Look at the legend. Elevation in meters. And you've got also in the legend besides, it says population in the thousands. So every single large red dot stands for 1,000 or more than 1,000 people living in that place. What's happening in India? What's happening in China? What's happening in Europe? What about Mexico City or Sao Paulo, Brazil? Locate these places in your maps so that you guys can know where they are. So population distribution is always going to be showing us how the population of areas is spread out. And in the case of the other map below with the population density tells how many people are concentrated in 1 square mile or square kilometer of a specific area. For example, you're looking at people per square kilometer in that map. And of course, the red color, it's where more people it's actually living right now. And for our next class, we're going to be looking at more maps. Remember always to take some notes, because like I said in the first class, there's going to be an exam, and I'm going to be posting that here in EdukaShow Geography class. So keep me posted. This week we will not have homework, okay? So I would like you guys to go back to this video, check it out, make some notes, and get prepared for your exam. And I hope you guys had a great time, because I did have a great time with you guys. And I'll see you guys for our next class coming up next Friday at the same time here in EdukaShow. My name is Teacher Ike. Have a great weekend and stay safe. Be responsible, listen to your parents, and if you live in Mexico and in all of those countries that today is the Children's Day or Children's Day, congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.